Okay, in our first section here, we're just going to classify. So we're classifying whether it is acute, obtuse, or right, and also whether it is scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. So for the angles, I look at all three angles. Those are all acute angles, so this would be acute. So remember, acute is less than 90. And then I go and look at its sides. Scalene means they're all different sides. Isosceles means two sides are the same, and equilateral means all three sides the same. And so I have two sides the same, so it is an acute isosceles triangle. And so if you need to, look at this page in your packet that has all of the definitions for you. And we can look at them according to numbers or according to the marks that are there for us. And so when we skip down to this next section, we're going to just look at what's marked the same or different for us, and then label it according to that. So this one has a right angle, so it is a right triangle. And none of the sides are marked the same, so this would be a right scalene. Okay, so then you finish the rest of the page on your own. So page 2 is we're just finding the missing angles, and it has for us the directions. The interior angles add up to 180. Exterior angles equals the sum of the two remote interior angles. Vertical angles equal each other. And all I'm doing here is I'm just doing 39 plus 79 plus my question mark equals 180. So I do 180 minus 79, which gives me 101, minus 39, which gives me the 62, which is my answer. And so the rest of this page is just like that. You just figure out which one are you looking for. In some you have to look. So we have here, you have some vertical angles. So first you're going to label inside and then find out what that is. Here you have a linear pair. Okay, so linear pair, which equals 180. So you start out subtracting from 180 to find out what that inside one is, and then move from there. Then down here we're starting to get a little bit more complicated. We have a few different steps. So we have to recognize our vertical to make this 40. We have to recognize our linear pair to find out that. So that's 180 minus 154. Which gives us 26. So then this angle is 26. So now we do our 180 minus 40, which is 140, minus 26, which gives us 114. And so our answer is 114. And I can, with all of these, check in my calculator and say, do my final three angles. Does 26 plus 40 plus 114 add up to 180? And if I got it correct, then it adds up to 180. If I didn't, then I can go back and fix it. And remember, the square angle equals 90 degrees. So when you see that square, you fill in a 90 degrees as you do that next one. So then, that was our level 1 stuff. So moving on to level 2. We're now going on to our isosceles and equilateral triangles. And so isosceles, equilateral triangles, all angles are equal, all sides are equal. Isosceles, the base angles are equal and the legs are equal. So going back to your reference page, we have On the isosceles, we have two sides are equal, so these are called legs. Okay? And then the base angles are the ones that are not in between the two legs. So these are our base angles. And then this is a leg, this is a leg. Over here, this is a leg, this is a leg. Our base angles would be these. And so we have to first look and see which way are they flipped. And I look, okay, these are my two legs that are equal. These are my base angles that are equal. So x equals 51. This one, though, if these are my two legs, these are my equal angles, okay? This is my third angle in between the two legs. So I have to do 180 minus 84 to find out that I have 96 degrees left for those two angles. And then I divide by 2 to get each angle equals 48. So in this case, x equals 48. So if I have the third angle, not one of the equal angles, I subtract from 180, divide it in half because I have two angles. Alright, so then you have those where you continue with angles. Down here it switches to sides, which is almost the exact same thing. It's just if I have these two angles marked the same, that means these are my two congruent legs, so therefore x equals 11. It's just the same. Alright, so that is the end of our level 2. This is where level 3 starts. So you want to take your level 1 through 2 self-quiz now before moving on, okay? Okay, so moving on here, we have the same rules where interior angles add up to 180 degrees. And so now I just have some algebra involved. So I take my 72 plus 51 plus x plus 63 to equal 180. Then I'm just going to combine my like terms. And you can do the mental math. You can type it in your calculator. Just 72 plus 51 plus 63. And find out it equals 186. So I have 186 plus x equals 180. And then it's joined with a plus sign, so I subtract 186 from this side of my equation, 186 from this side of my equation, and get x equals -6. And that's my answer. So you'll do the same thing for those next few problems. So on this page, it makes this a little more complicated. We have to first recognize our vertical angles, which is 80. And then we take that second rule that was on the page before for us. It says exterior angles equals the sum of the two remote interior angles. And so that means this angle here is our exterior. Remote interior mean the far away one. So it's not this one that's touching right here, it's that one across. So that's what makes them remote. And so then I have x plus 27, plus 127, equals 35 plus 80. And then I combine my like terms to get 115 equals x plus 127. I subtract the 127 to get x equals negative 12. If I wanted to check, which is always a good idea if you have kind of tricky problems, I would do negative 12 plus 127. And I'm going to use my calculator for this because this is a lot of math. So negative 12 plus 127 gives me this angle is 115, which is the same as those two. I can also then check my 180 minus 115 to find out this inside angle is 65, and then check the 65 plus 35 plus 80 to find out that all those angles do add up to 180. So there's lots of different ways to check this if you get mixed up, especially if you're on a test or a quiz where whether you get it right or wrong really matters. On practice, just make sure to check all of your work as you're practicing it. Okay, and then we have our last section of our level 3 stuff where it is lots of different angles, all numeric, no algebraic stuff, but just lots of different angles. And so it wants us to find this angle, which means we're just going to start by filling in every angle we can. If this is 100, this one has to be 80 because there's that linear pair. If this angle is 80, I can do 180 minus 80 minus another 45 to find out this missing angle, which comes out to 55. Okay? Now I have another linear pair here, so this is another linear pair. And so I do 180 minus 84 minus 55. And that gives me 41. So this side now is 41. Now I take this triangle here and do 180 minus 32 minus 41 to get 107. And then vertical angles are the same, so my answer is 107. So it's like a puzzle. You just find every angle you can until you eventually get the one you want. So this one's very similar to that. You're going to work that on your own, starting with here, find this one, vertical angle, and find your missing angle. Number 32 looks just a little bit different, and so I'm going to start again with my vertical angle, 84. And then do my 180 minus 56 minus 84 to get 40. Okay. Remember the square here means this is 90 degrees. That's what the right angle symbol means. So if this side of the 90 degrees is 40, this side has to be 50. We have our linear pair here again. That makes that 80. And so I subtract 180 minus 80 minus another 50. And get 50 degrees here, which makes my outside 130 degrees. And then I can check. Exterior angles should equal those added together. So 130 equals the 80 plus 50, so it checks. Okay, so now we move on to our isosceles and equilateral triangles. And it's the same rules we had before. Now there's just some algebra involved, okay? So equilateral, all are equal. Isosceles is the base angles. So this is equilateral, all three sides are the same, which means all my angles are 60. And so if angle 2 equals 7x plus 11, I have to do 60 equals 7x plus 11. Subtract my 11 to get 49 equals 7x, divide by 7 to get 7 equals x. So my answer is 7. This one will be the same. They're going to just, these are our base angles that equal each other, because those are the two legs. And so I have 56 plus x, which is my angle 2, equals 50. And so to solve, I just subtract 56 to get x equals -6. And that's my answer. Alright, 36 has one more step, because in this case these are our legs, and so these are the base angles, so that's 47, 47. And so I can do it two ways. I can say 47 plus 47 plus 10x plus 6, which is my third angle, equals 180. Or I can do it as a separate step where I do 180 minus 47 minus 47. And get 86, and then my equation can be 86 equals 10x plus 6. Either way, I'm going to get to the same answer. So if I'm doing it this way, my first step would be to combine those like terms and do 47 plus 47 plus another 6 to get 100 plus 10x equals 180. Then I subtract the 100 to get 10x equals 80. And then I get x equals 8. If I did this one, my next step would just be subtract 6 to get 80 equals 10x, which is the same step I had here. And I divide by 10 to get x equals 8. So it is completely your choice. Do you like to write the big equation like this? Would you rather do that math, find your missing angle, and then write the small equation? And so you go ahead and do this. When you get to 40 and 41, it's the same thing. We just have some extra lines which are the distracting lines, so you just have to look at what your actual triangle is. Okay, so our next page starts level 4. So when you reach the end of this page and have checked your answers, you're going to take your level 3 self-quiz. So that is your next step. Take that level 3 self-quiz. Okay, so now we're on to our level 4 page, which is the same math. There's just several steps. So again, we're trying to work our way around to here using our markings to let us know which angles are the same. And so on this triangle, we have these two sides marked as isosceles, which means these two angles are the same. And so I'm going to fill in, this is 61. This one is the 180 minus the two 61-degree angles, which comes out to 58. Then I recognize that I have my 90-degree angle in the corner here, and so my next step is to do 90 minus 58, which gives me 32. Now I'm in my second triangle that I'm looking for, and so I recognize in this triangle I have these two sides marked the same, which means these are my base angles. And so I do my 180 degrees minus the 32 angle that I already have, which gives me 148. And then I divide it by 2 to get 74. And so both of these angles are 74. And that's my answer. So now you'll do the next 3 working out according to those rules. And then my last one is just back to that exterior angle equals sum of the two remote interior angles. And so I have my exterior angle is 122. Remote interior are the two opposite interior angles, so I have 11x minus 7 plus 6x plus 10. And then I just solve it out. So combine my like terms, which are combine my x's, combine my ones without variables to get 17x plus 3 equals 122. Then I subtract 3 to get 119 equals 17x. And I divide by 17 to get 7 equals x. And that's my answer. And so you will do the same thing for these three problems. Okay, then our very last page starts with a big problem to work out, starting by labeling what they give you and see what you can work out, which of those names you can, angles you can label. We're going to work out a couple of these down here together. So it says in triangle WIN, angle W, angle I, and angle N equal B's, and it says to draw a diagram. So we start by drawing our triangle W, I, N. And I label 2y plus 7, 6y, I don't have space so I'll do the arrow in there, 8y plus 13. So I drew my diagram. I know they all add up to 180, so I write my equation. Add it all up to equal 180. Then I combine my like terms. And that gives me 16y plus 20 equals 180. That gives me beautiful simple math. I subtract 20 to get 16y equals 160. Divide by 16 to get y equals 10. So I found y equals 10. That's the first step. The second step, it asks me to classify the triangle. And so to classify it, I'm going to plug my y back in and find my angles. So 2 times 10 plus 7 gives me a 27 degree angle here. So that's 27 degrees. 6 times 10 gives me 60 degrees. 8 times 10 plus 13 gives me a 93 degree. And so I go back to my classify and say, okay, I have one obtuse angle, so therefore it is obtuse. And because I know that the sides and angles mark each other, I have my largest side, my smallest side, I have no equal angles, I know it has to be scalene. Because if there are no equal angles, there are also no equal sides. Alright, and then you'll come on and do this one. It already tells you it's a right triangle because you have a 90 degree angle, but you'll plug in the others, see are those angles equal or not, and classify it from that. Alright, now we have a ratio problem. And so we're going to start by drawing a triangle. And when we see the word ratio, we put an x beside it. So that gives me 5x, 6x, and 7x. And so I just solve 5x plus 6x plus 7x equals 180, which means 18x equals 180. which means x equals 10. Okay, so I'm halfway there. It asks me to find the angle measures, and so I just plug it in. My angle measures are 50, 60, and 70 degrees. If it asked me to classify, those are all less than 180, so I would classify as acute. And again, no angles are equal, therefore no sides are equal, so it's acute scaling. And then you will do the same thing here and just identify what the smallest angle is.